So when you're done your experiments, or maybe before starting your experiments, and you want to clean the instrument, what you have to do is make sure that the instrument is in standby. It's really obvious because this light here will be red, not green. Once the instrument's had a little bit of time to cool down, you can go over to the front end of the instrument and just open up the doors here. So this lock spray system is a little bit different from the Micro's source design, but it's a lot more sort of user-friendly for cleaning, I think. What you do is you pop open these latches here on the side. There's one here, and then there's one over here. Pop these guys open, and then this front door will open up. Normally, if you're running something, this needs to be open. But since we're cleaning it, we want the ion block to be closed to vacuum, so we'll close it off like that, just by twisting it. We'll also unplug the probe, just to be extra safe. However, when I open this door, this button is no longer pressed down, and that's an emergency shut-off to make sure that all the voltages are down so you don't shock yourself. The next thing to do here is pull off the cone gas line, and I can pull out this drip tray that collects a lot of gunk from experiments, so we can clean this guy out. As well, I can pull this cone off by twisting it out like that, and then sliding it out. So now you can see on the inside I have my sample cone, and on the outside I have my outer cone. And I need to separate these two if I want to clean it. This little peak piece over here is what we use to pop out the cone. What I do is just invert it, place it over top, and then press down, and out comes my cone. So now these two I can clean independently. However, this piece is extremely delicate, and we don't want this tip to touch anything. It's very important that that thing stays completely, perfectly round and flat and not dinged or anything like that. So I'm going to be very gentle with this piece. However, the outer cone can be sonicated, hosed down with whatever solvent you're using to really clean it out. Once I've done that, I can reassemble the cone parts just by popping them in and sliding the cone back into place. Giving it a little twist to lock it in. Plugging the cone gas line back on, replacing the tray, and opening up the vacuum again. Once I've done that, I can just close this guy, put those latches back on, and plug in my probe. And then we're good to go. A really easy way to clean out the instrument is by using the built-in reservoir and fluidic system. So down on the right-hand side here, I have reservoirs A and B, and at the moment I have attached to them deionized water and HPLC grade methanol. What I can do from the tune page is fill or purge rather with a selected reservoir to really clean the system out. This is a little bit more advantageous as to using a syringe pump because it just saves a bit of time having to refill your syringe and all that. So once I've cleaned out the instrument, the cone pieces rather, I can turn the instrument back on, take it out of standby, set my source temperature, desalvation temperature, wait for that to come to an appropriate desalvation temperature, turn on my gas, and at this point I can go to my fluidic system. So right now the syringe is full, it's sitting at an idle, and its flow state is going to waste. As you can see, I'm sitting on reservoir B, which I mentioned earlier is filled with HPLC grade methanol. But for this case, I just want to infuse the methanol straight into the source. Then I will tell the flow state to be set to infusion, and it will change the valve position so that it's injecting into the instrument now. I can select my infusion flow rate, which can vary between about 5 microliters a minute to 150 microliters per minute. If I want to do a really thorough flushing of the instrument, I can set this to 150, which will really blast it through. It will immediately update and tell me how long that will take. So it will take 1.5 minutes about for this syringe to flush through. When I'm ready to go, I can click Start Infusing. If I'm changing solvents, so changing from reservoir B to A, for example, I'll want to do a purge first. In that case, it will purge to waste and it will flush out the fluidic system with the solvent that you've chosen. But for now, we can just tell it to purge. And we can see that it's starting to flush it to the instrument here on the scope page.
So what do you want the intensity to be when it's clean?
The intensity when it's clean optimally is about 10 to the 5 or below. 10 to the 4 is about noise level. 10 to the 5 generally means that you've got something in here like this peak over here that is probably some contamination, especially in the high 10 to the 5s or 10 to the 6. But for optimal cleanliness, we want it like this, about 10 to the 4.